The wedding hall was glowing with golden lights and laughter when 7-year-old Mia Parker saw something she wasn't supposed to. From her seat at the corner table, legs swinging, eyes wide with curiosity, she watched as the groom, Daniel Reid, leaned over the bride's champagne glass. He glanced around once, his charming smile gone, his hand trembling slightly, and then he slipped something small and clear into her drink. No one else noticed. But Mia did. The bride, Emily Carter, a woman known for her warmth and quiet strength, was her favorite person in the world. Emily was her babysitter, her big sister figure, and the only adult who truly listened when Mia's parents were too busy fighting. That night, she looked like a princess, her dress glowing, her laughter soft. Mia thought she'd never seen anyone so happy. And that's what made what she saw so terrifying. Emily had met Daniel 3 years earlier at the hospital where she worked as a nurse. He was a charming entrepreneur, handsome, successful, and full of grand promises. To everyone, they looked perfect together. He brought flowers to her shifts, posted adoring photos online, and told the world how lucky he was. But there were cracks. Tiny ones. Mia had heard the whispers between Emily and her friend Claire, the maid of honor. How Daniel could be controlling sometimes. How he didn't like Emily working late. How he once accidentally deleted her messages to a male coworker. Emily had brushed it off with nervous laughs. He's just protective, she'd said. Still, something in her eyes said otherwise. And now, standing at the wedding table, watching Daniel's hand move over that delicate crystal glass, Mia felt her small stomach twist. The way he looked over his shoulder before doing it. The way his smile returned a second too late. She wanted to shout, to run to Emily and tell her. But the music started, the opening notes of their first dance, and Daniel turned to the crowd, a picture of charm again. Cameras flashed, guests clapped, and Emily, glowing and unaware, lifted her glass for a toast. Mia froze, torn between fear and disbelief. Maybe she was imagining it. Maybe grown-ups did strange things before toasts. But deep down, she knew what she saw. That night, as laughter filled the hall and champagne glasses clinked, Mia stayed quiet, clutching her little purse and watching every move the groom made. Daniel leaned close to Emily's ear, whispering something that made her smile weakly. His eyes caught Mia's across the room, for just a second, and his grin changed. It wasn't kind. It was a warning. Mia's heart pounded. She didn't know what was happening, but she knew one thing, something terrible was about to begin. The morning after the wedding, everything looked perfect, too perfect. The sun poured through the honeymoon suite's balcony, and Emily Reid woke up with a splitting headache. The last thing she remembered was the toast. The room spinning. Daniel's arms catching her before she hit the floor. And then, nothing. Daniel sat beside her now, stroking her hair with that same rehearsed tenderness that once melted her heart. "You fainted last night," he said softly. "You've been overworking yourself. You need rest, my love." He smiled, but his eyes didn't. Emily tried to sit up, but dizziness hit her again. Her throat was dry, her memory foggy. She forced a weak laugh. "Guess I can't handle champagne anymore." "Guess not," he replied, pouring her a glass of water, but not from the same bottle he drank from. Something about that small detail lingered, but Emily brushed it off. She was newly married, she wanted peace, not paranoia. Downstairs, Mia sat at the breakfast table, clutching her apple juice, her small face pale. She hadn't slept much either. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Daniel's hand slipping something into Emily's glass, and the way he'd stared right at her afterward. When Emily came downstairs, smiling faintly, Mia ran to her. "Aunt Emily, did you feel sick last night? Did you drink the champagne?" Daniel's tone cut through the air like a blade. "Mia, that's not something polite little girls talk about. Go play outside." Emily frowned, but said nothing. She knelt to Mia's level and kissed her forehead. I'm fine, sweetheart. Just tired. But as Mia went outside, Emily caught Daniel's look, sharp, warning, possessive. That was the first flicker of unease. Over the next few weeks, Emily noticed other things. Her phone calls with friends went missing. Her coworker Claire stopped calling altogether, saying Daniel had told her Emily needed space to adjust to married life. Her favorite necklace, her mother's, vanished from her jewelry box, only for Daniel to say he'd put it somewhere safe. Every time she questioned something, he had an answer. Too calm. Too practiced. At night, she'd wake to find him standing at the window, scrolling through her phone. When she asked what he was doing, he'd smile and say, "Just checking your notifications, babe. You get too many messages." But it wasn't until she opened her bank app one afternoon and saw her personal savings account nearly empty that her stomach truly dropped. Daniel assured her he'd merged their finances, saying it was just practical. "We're a team now, right?" Emily smiled, but her heart thudded painfully in her chest. Later that night, she opened the wedding photo album. In one picture, Daniel's hand hovered over her champagne glass, frozen mid-motion. She zoomed in, pulse quickening. Was that a small capsule? Suddenly, a faint giggle made her look up. Mia stood at the doorway, holding the photo in her own small copy of the album. "I told you," she whispered. "I saw him do it." The photo trembled in Emily's hand as the room seemed to shrink around her. Daniel's footsteps echoed in the hallway. He was coming. Emily's heart thundered in her chest as Daniel's footsteps drew closer. She slid the wedding photo under the table just as he entered, his expression calm, too calm. Looking through memories, he asked, voice smooth as glass. "You look tense, sweetheart." "I'm fine," she lied, her voice tight. "Just reminiscing." He came closer, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You should rest. You're still recovering from, well, everything." That word, everything, made her stomach twist. After he left, Emily locked the bedroom door and opened the photo again, zooming in until the pixels blurred. The capsule was clear as day. Her hands trembled. Mia had been right. Her mind replayed the wedding in flashes, the toast, the dizziness, the way Daniel caught her so quickly, as if he'd been waiting for her to fall. The pieces clicked together in one horrifying realization. He hadn't just spiked her drink. He'd tested something. The next morning, when Daniel left for work, Emily turned detective. She tore through drawers, documents, his office laptop, anything that could explain why. And then she found it. Hidden behind his law degree, inside a locked file box, were papers she never should have seen. A medical insurance form with her signature forged. A new life insurance policy listing Daniel as the sole beneficiary. Dated 2 weeks before their wedding. Her knees gave out. Every vow. Every "I love you." Every moment she'd thought was real, had been part of his plan. Tears burned her eyes as she whispered, he never wanted a wife, he wanted a payout. That night, Emily confronted her sister, Claire, Mia's mother. "Claire," Emily said, trembling. "You have to believe me. Daniel, he tried to poison me." Claire's face drained of color. "What are you talking about?" Emily showed her the documents, the photo, everything. But Claire looked torn, hesitant. "Emily, that's a serious accusation. Maybe you're just stressed. You've been through so much. He forged my signature." Emily snapped, her voice cracking. "You think that's stress?" Before Claire could respond, Daniel walked in. He shouldn't have been home. His gaze swept over the scene, the papers, the photo, the terror on Emily's face. His smile didn't falter. "Ladies," he said softly, closing the door behind him, "it's not nice to dig through private things." Emily's hands shook as she backed away. "You tried to kill me." Daniel stepped closer, voice low and chilling. Don't be dramatic, Emily. If I wanted you gone, you'd already be gone. The silence after that was suffocating. Claire grabbed Mia and left in a rush, promising to call the police, but Emily knew Daniel would find a way to twist it all. He always did. That night, she sat alone on the bathroom floor, shaking and broken. The truth had shattered her world. But beneath the tears and fear, something else began to stir, something sharp, steady, and cold. Not grief. Resolve. And when Daniel's voice called her name from the other side of the door, she stared into the mirror, eyes hard and unblinking. You made one mistake, Daniel, she whispered. You didn't finish the job. The bathroom floor was cold against Emily's cheek. Hours had passed since Daniel's threat still echoed in her mind. If I wanted you gone, you'd already be gone. She had spent the night in silence, replaying every moment she had called love, every lie wrapped in a smile. Despair weighed heavy, but underneath it, something inside her began to shift. By sunrise, her tears had dried. When she looked at herself in the mirror, she no longer saw a frightened woman. She saw someone who had survived, someone Daniel hadn't broken. And he had no idea. Later that morning, Daniel left early for a client meeting. Emily watched from the window as his car disappeared down the driveway. The moment he was gone, she grabbed her phone and called the only person she still trusted, Detective Rachel Myers, an old college friend who now worked in the fraud division. Emily? Rachel sounded concerned. It's been years. What's wrong? Emily hesitated, voice trembling but steady. I think my husband's trying to kill me. The silence that followed was heavy. Then Rachel's calm, professional tone cut through. Tell me everything. Emily explained the photos, the forged documents, the life insurance policy. She sent Rachel pictures of the evidence. Rachel's voice hardened. Emily, you need to get out of that house. Now. Don't confront him again until I've looked into this. If what you're saying is true, he's dangerous. Emily felt a spark of hope for the first time in days. Someone believed her. But before she could leave, something caught her eye on Daniel's desk, a small flash drive labeled EM Curious and Trembling. She plugged it into her laptop. What she saw made her blood run cold. Videos. Dozens of them. Hidden camera footage of their home. Their bedroom. Her. He had been recording her every move, watching her reactions, tracking her medication, even documenting her fainting spells after the wedding. Every file was labeled by date and symptom, like a scientific experiment. One video stood out, Trial 01, Successful Reaction. Her hands shook violently. He wasn't just trying to kill me, she whispered. He was testing me. That was the moment something inside Emily snapped into clarity. No more tears. No more fear. She copied every file, backed them up, and deleted his access logs. When she looked up, her reflection on the laptop screen seemed almost unrecognizable, calm, sharp, unflinching. You wanted to play scientist, Daniel, she murmured. Let's see how you handle being the subject. She picked up her phone and texted Rachel, I'm staying. I'll handle this my way. Rachel's reply came seconds later, Emily, don't do anything stupid. Emily smiled faintly. Not stupid, she whispered. Strategic. And as Daniel's car pulled back into the driveway that evening, she straightened her posture, smoothed her hair, and set the table for dinner, like nothing had ever happened. But this time, the fool was gone. Only the hunter remained. Revenge, I learned, is less about drama and more about choreography. It's a series of small, precise moves that stack until the whole house of cards collapses. After the videos on Daniel's flash drive, I stopped improvising and started planning like someone who knew exactly what she'd lost and what she had to win back. Step 1. Lock the evidence. I copied every single file onto 3 separate drives, uploaded encrypted backups to a cloud account Rachel opened for me, and handed 2 physical copies to trusted friends, one to Claire to keep in her safe, another to Rachel's unit. I labeled everything, numbered dates, and created a timeline that matched symptoms to entries Daniel had logged in his home study files. Redundancy would be my insurance. Step 2. Corroborate the story. I needed witnesses and expert voices. Rachel quietly pulled personnel files and access logs from the hospital. They showed Daniel had bought, online, a compound that could explain Emily's fainting spells. Dr. Alvarez, a retired physician who owed me a favor, agreed to review the videos and provide a medical affidavit explaining how the substances could incapacitate someone. Claire called Mia and taught her to tell the truth calmly. The little girl's memory and honesty would be a key thread the court couldn't ignore. Step 3. Secure legal cover. Rachel filed preliminary requests for search warrants and froze the suspicious accounts tied to the life insurance policy. She wouldn't move on arrests until the public exposure had traction. Too much secrecy could tip Daniel off. That was fine, we weren't rushing the arrest. We were building a public case so convincing the world would refuse to look the other way. Step 4. Create the public stage. Daniel loved accolades. He was scheduled to be honored at the hospital's annual charity gala in 2 weeks, a floodlit, camera-heavy night with donors, press, and the board in attendance. It was perfect. We arranged with an investigative reporter, Mara, who agreed to hold an embargoed feature timed to coincide with our reveal. Sam, a friend and videographer, would stream the evidence live through Mara's secure channel while Dr. Alvarez gave a brief expert statement. Step 5. The trap within the trap. Daniel, felt untouchable. He controlled the narrative at home and charm at public events. So we layered contingencies. Claire would sit near the stage with Mia ready to speak, Rachel's team would have search warrants in hand, the accountant would expose the forged signatures and the insurance fraud, and if Daniel tried to flee, the parking exits would be monitored. Everything synced like gears. All the while, Daniel lived his life exactly the same, smiling for donors, practicing his acceptance speech, unaware the spotlight he so craved would be used to burn him. That arrogance made him careless. It made him visible. The night of the gala arrived. Chandelier light danced on champagne, cameras hummed, and the board applauded Daniel as he brushed lint from his tuxedo. I sat off stage, a small packet of printed stills in my lap, my thumb on the play button of Sam's tablet. Rachel sat 2 seats down, eyes steady. Mia drew a steadying breath in my ear. Sam's feed was live. Mara's writer stood by the press table, ready to upload the story at my signal. Dr. Alvarez sat in the front row with his affidavit open. Outside, unmarked cars idled, the warrant team waiting to move once the world saw what we had. I closed my fingers around the tablet, felt the weight of every night I'd spent terrified and the quiet resolve that had replaced it. I lifted my head and looked at the glittering room where Daniel would be crowned a hero in minutes, still smiling, still untouchable, still believing himself safe. I pressed my thumb down. And then, someone touched my shoulder. The touch on Emily's shoulder froze her for a heartbeat. She turned and saw Rachel, eyes sharp with resolve. "It's time," Rachel whispered. Emily gave a single nod and pressed play. The ballroom's massive screens flickered once, then again, before the live stream replaced Daniel's slideshow. At first, the crowd thought it was part of the presentation, grainy footage of a smiling couple, a toast, a wedding. Then came the moment. The camera zoomed in on Daniel's hand, his fingers slipping something small and white into Emily's champagne glass. Gasps rippled through the room. Daniel froze on stage, confusion flashing across his face, quickly replaced by panic. He turned toward the tech booth, waving frantically. "Turn that off. That's not part of the," but his words were drowned out by the voice of Mara, the reporter, now live on screen. "Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching exclusive evidence of attempted poisoning, insurance fraud, and illegal medical testing conducted by Dr. Daniel Cole. This footage was captured at his own wedding. The room erupted. People stood, whispering, phones flashing, cameras recording. Emily rose slowly from her seat, every step deliberate, her heels echoing on the marble floor. Her voice, calm but cutting, sliced through the chaos. You said if you wanted me gone, I'd already be gone. Guess what, Daniel, I'm still here. The next video rolled, clips from Daniel's hidden drive. Footage of Emily collapsing, him scribbling notes, muttering about dosage efficiency. Each clip sealed his fate. Rachel's team moved in quietly, badges flashing, while reporters circled like vultures. Daniel's face drained of color. You can't, you set me up, he shouted, eyes darting wildly. Emily tilted her head. No, Daniel. You set yourself up. I just pressed play. 2 officers stepped forward. Rachel nodded once. Daniel's body tensed as they cuffed him right there on stage, in front of every donor, every colleague, every camera. His perfect reputation crumbled in real time. The audience watched in stunned silence as he was led away, his once polished image now shattered beyond repair. Mia's small hand found Emily's. You're safe now, the little girl whispered. Emily smiled softly. Because you told the truth, sweetheart. As Daniel was dragged past her, he spat bitterly. You'll regret this, Emily. They'll believe me over you. She leaned close, her voice like steel wrapped in silk. You built your empire on lies. I built my revenge on proof. That's the difference. Flashbulbs went off. The board announced an immediate suspension. Within hours, Mara's article went viral. Sponsors withdrew, the hospital distanced itself, and Daniel's accounts were frozen under the fraud charges. His name, once golden, now became a headline for disgrace. Emily stepped outside into the night air. The cold breeze hit her face, carrying away months of fear. For the first time, she felt free, truly free. She looked back at the building where Daniel's life had collapsed and whispered to herself, justice doesn't need noise. It just needs timing. And with that, she walked away, head high, heart steady, as sirens wailed in the distance and Daniel's empire burned behind her. The days after the gala passed in a blur of phone calls, media coverage, and legal paperwork. Daniel Cole, once a respected doctor and beloved community figure, was now a cautionary headline. Fraud charges, attempted poisoning, and a dozen other legal actions piled against him, leaving him trapped in the very life he had tried to manipulate. Emily sat in her sunlit living room, Mia curled beside her on the couch, watching cartoons and laughing without a care. For the first time in weeks, Emily felt a deep, unshakable peace. The constant fear, the uncertainty, the nights spent questioning her own sanity, they were gone. Her friends rallied around her. Claire helped restore the life Emily had almost lost. The hospital reinstated her privileges, commending her bravery and the professionalism she had maintained under unimaginable pressure. Even donors and colleagues reached out, offering support and admiration. Respect had returned to her life, not stolen by deceit but earned through courage. Rachel continued to check in, ensuring that every legal step against Daniel proceeded without interference. Emily realized the magnitude of what had happened. She had survived an orchestrated betrayal and turned it into justice, all without stooping to lies or manipulation. Mia, proud and wide-eyed, often reminded her mother, "You're a hero, Mommy." Just like in the stories. Emily smiled, brushing a strand of hair from Mia's forehead. "We were both heroes, baby," she said softly. Weeks later, Emily received the official notice. Daniel's life insurance policies were voided due to fraud, his financial holdings frozen, and the ongoing investigation ensured he would never again hold power over another unsuspecting person. The man who thought he could control and harm her now faced the consequences of every calculated move he had made. That night, as she tucked Mia into bed, Emily reflected on the journey, from fear and despair to empowerment and victory. The betrayal had been deep, cruel, and shocking, but it had revealed a strength she didn't know she possessed. She whispered a quiet truth to herself: some people poison others hoping they'll break, but in the end, the one who sows betrayal often drinks the bitterest cup. Her phone buzzed with notifications, comments from viewers who had followed her story. "I've been through something similar, thank you for showing me it's possible to fight back." Another: "Your courage inspires me. Stay strong." Emily leaned back, a small, knowing smile on her face. She addressed the camera, breaking the fourth wall. Have you ever faced betrayal so deep it shook your world? Share your story in the comments, I want to hear from you. And if you believe justice can triumph, subscribe and follow for more stories that remind us the truth always finds a way. Outside, the wind whispered softly against the windows, carrying away the last traces of fear. Emily and Mia sat together, safe, free, and stronger than ever before. And somewhere, in a lonely room, Daniel learned a final, inescapable truth: those who try to destroy others often forget the one they underestimated, the one who refuses to be broken.